Okay, today's daf is Kufchaf, and it's a Shana Rabbah, so a good and kvittel to everybody. We're up in the sugya of B'nai Slavchad. The Gemara commented that B'nai Slavchad were Chachmaniyos, they were Darshaniyos, and they were Tzidkaniyos, right? And they were Tzidkani. Avi Rosenzweig from Israel, unbelievable. So we'd like to shout out to Rabbi Avi, who's going ahead and joining us from Yerushalayim, the Shana Rabbah, stayed up to learn Torah. Okay, so just a chazariba, that the Gemara is telling us about B'nai Slavchad. So they were chachmaniyos. They knew exactly when to ask. When did they ask? At the time when what? When the Moshe Rabbeinu was going through and teaching the laws of Yibum. And what was the chachma? The manav shach. If we're considered children, that our mother does not have to marry the brother-in-law because we're children, then we should get nachla. And if we don't get nachla, then our mother should fall to yibum. So they're chachmaniyos. Darshaniyos, they said uben ein loy, right? We said ben ein loy. They darshan, they understood that if there's a ben ayin alav, to go ahead and look and see that even if there's a basa ben, a granddaughter would inherit before them. So they're saying, we understand that there's no ben, and not only is no ben, there's no other grandchild. So they understood the drasha of ein loy ayin alav. And now we see that it's tzidkaniyos. That's what we're up to. So we're up to kuf yud tes amid beis, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines up. Tzidkaniyos hein shloi nisu ela lahagan lahem. They only married people who were proper for them. They married people, they took their time getting married, and therefore they married people who were proper for them. Tani Rebbe Eliezer, Ben Yaakov, Afilu Ketana Shebehem, again, there's 5 B'nai Slavchad, even the youngest one, like Nisas Pechusame Abram Shana, did not marry less than 40 years old. Okay, let's see a Taisvus over here, the bottom Taisvus. Afilu Ketana Shebehem, like Nisas Pachas Me Abram Shana, Near La Rashba, the Savala Kamadi Omar, Slavchad Hainu Mekaishes. We mentioned there's an opinion that the Mekaishes Eitzim, the one who gathered the logs, the wood on Shabbos, was Slavchad, right? Umaisa Mekaishes, and the Maisa of the Mekaishes, Hayibet Chilas Aboyim. It began in the beginning when they went out of Mitzrayim. Miyad Acha Maisa Meraglim. It occurred as soon after the Maisa Meraglim, which began at the beginning of the 40 years. The Amar b'Medrash, to l'shem shemayim niskaven, that the Slavchad was mechabel l'shem shemayim by being mekoshes, by gathering the wood on Shabbos. Sha'ayimim Yisrael kivin shenigzar aleihem shlei l'konis la'aretz mimaisa meraglim, since it had been decreed upon them not to go into Eretz Yisrael because of what? Of the Maisa of the meraglim. Shuv a mechuyuvim b'mitzvahs. So therefore they're not mechuyuvim mitzvahs. In other words, if we go into Eretz Yisrael, mitzvahs, again, it's the Ramban, that mitzvahs are really given Palt and Shel Melech in Eretz Yisrael. So they made a cheshbon. If we're not going to make it into Eretz Yisrael, perhaps we're not mechuyev in mitzvahs. Shuv ein mechuyev in mitzvahs. Amad, so therefore, Slavchad stood up, the Chil Shabbos, and he's Mechalach Shabbos, Kadesh Yehareg, that he should get killed. The Yiru Acherim, others should see. V'leinasu, right, and V'leinasu, they didn't get married at Soif Arbaim Shana Kidemukach Kra. So the Tosfos give me the cheshbon how the youngest one, that Slavchad could have had a daughter who was a baby at the time when he was Mekaishesh. 40 years later, she's now a 40-year-old woman, and as of yet, she hadn't married. So with that cheshbon, the youngest one was 40, so the 4 above were older than that. So even the youngest one did not get married. Now, where was the tzidkis over here? Ini, is it really so that they should wait so long to get married? For Amr of Chista, Nisas.
Quick question. Since we mentioned Makosh Eitzim again, and Tzlavcha did their very lishma, isn't there such a thing when you do a very total lishma, you don't get punished? And a very lishma?
There's a Gemara in Tainus. There's a Gemara in Tainus that I think Yael was mechaven leveir lishma by being boil Sisra to weaken him. So there's such a Gemara. But I'm not sure. There was, he did it with Rabin, he did it with Hesya, he did it with Hasra. So I'm not sure in that case if you go ahead and say you will be punished. Again, if it's quietly, it's clandestinely like Yael, right? And then in Shiras Devora, they go ahead and Gedoyla Avera Lishma Me Mitzvah Lishma. That could be when there was no one there. I'm giving you my own shot. There could be there was no one there, and there was an Asra, and she's Mecham Shem Shemayim. But over here, even though it comes Shem Shemayim, it could be B'fa Heshi. He wanted Gufa. In this case, he wanted to die Heshi. This is exactly what he wanted to do. So what? So what would happen? He'd do an Avera, he wouldn't die, so he wouldn't accomplish what he wanted to do in the Avera in the first place. In other words, the people are going to say that what? That there's no purpose for mitzvahs, right? By dying, he's showing exactly, yes, all the mitzvahs are involved. But according to you, that he wouldn't die, what do you accomplish by doing the Avera?
Makes sense.
It
Makes
makes
sense.
sense.
I hear. Makes sense.
The whole purpose was to die.
Makes sense. Yeah, I hear.
So it could be that that's what Hashem did. Oh, you did an Avera like that? So maybe that might be a better answer than the previous one I gave. Okay, again, I'm just thinking on the spot, Hesh. Now, you're telling me that 40, you can wait till 40 to get married? 1 second. If a girl gets married less than 20, Yoledes at Shishim, she's able to go ahead and have children up to 60. Bas Esrim, if she gets married at 20, Yoledes at Arboyim, she'll be able to have children till 40. Bas Aboyim, if you get married at 40, Shuveni Yoledes. Get married at 40, you're not going to have children. If you look at the Rashbam, 3 lines to the bottom. Then this Akfu Araboim Shana, Adam nice son. In other words, if they would wait till 40 and they can't have children, no person's going to get married, because the reason why we get married is to Mekayim the mitzvah pir v'rivya, right? That's the reason we get married. And if they're not going to be able to mother children, have children, no one's going to marry them. That's the talad over here. They shouldn't have waited. They wouldn't have any more children. He's asking like this. The Rashban's, by the way, question. So they waited till get married, so they wouldn't have children. So what? Women are not mechuyev in pirivya. So the Rashban is answering the kasha. Since they won't be able to have children, no man's going to marry them. Why? Because men are mitzvah in pirivya. It's a deeper pshat, guys. Yeah, it's a deeper pshat. That's the word. The woman not mitzvah. So therefore, the Rashbam is telling you no, then no one's going to marry them because they couldn't have children. So Ella, what do you have to say back in the Gemara, right? Ella mitoich shet sitkanias hein. Since they would sitkanias, nasnal hem nes ki yochevet. A nes was performed to them like yochevet. A nes was performed like yochevet. Hang on 1 sec. So it says over here that they were sitkanias and they waited till they're 40. So now, then where's the tzidkis over here? They're not mitzvah in pir v'rivya. And a bigger question is, why would a man marry them? So the Rashbam is addressing that no man's going to marry them. So it says over here that they made themselves only toshit sitkanias hein. Since they would sitkanias, nasnal nes ki yochevet. A nest happened like yochevet. We're going to see in a second, fellas, that yochevet, her nirus returned. Her skin got smooth. Her youth came back. So it says the Torah Chaim Gishmak. What does it mean over here that Nasali Neski Yochevet? Not that they gave birth after 40, but they went ahead and their nirus returned, that they look young again. Memela, since they look young again, and obviously a nest had happened to them, therefore men would marry them. Therefore, again, they married their cousins. Therefore, the men would marry them. A man is mitzvah pirivivya. How could a man go ahead and marry them if they're not able to have children? And the answer is they would samich on the tzidkanios. How do you see the with tzidkanios? The fact that a nest occurred to them, just like Yocheved. So therefore they look young and vibrant. The male people married them. So that's Geshmak. It will explain beautifully, again, from the Sefer Torah Chaim, it explains beautifully this Gemara. So let's read it this way. So says the Gemara. So what's the kasha? They waited till 40, so big deal. And the kasha is, if they waited till 40, no one's going to marry them because they can't have children. It says, yeah, Elamitoich tzidkanias hein, since they would tzidkanias, and nasalhem nes ki yocheved, and a nes happened like yocheved, that their nairis returned, that they became young again. Dichsiv. Now, where do you see this? It says vayelech ish mi beis Levi, vayikach es bas Levi. Right, that a man went from Levi and took a bas Levi. Ev shebas mea u'shloishim shana v'karla bas. We call her young. She was 130 years old. Dam Rav Chama bar Chanina zu yocheved shahayrasa b'derech v'neiloda ben choymos. Her conception took place on the way, and she was born when she went to ben b'choymos, between the walls of Mitzrayim. Dichsiv asher yolda oisa l'Levi b'Mitzrayim, that he gave birth to Levi what in Mitzrayim. Leidasa b'Mitzrayim vayrasa shlai b'Mitzrayim. The Leda was in Mitzrayim, but the Hayra was not in Mitzrayim. My Kari Bas, Rav Yehuda bar Zvida, Malamit shel noldu bas simone nairis, that she was born to her simone nairis. Nisadin abasar, her skin got glowing. Nispashtu hakamatim, the wrinkles got straightened out. V'chaza yoifi lim kaimai, and the yoifi came back to its place. So, guys, now you can appreciate what the Torah Chaim said. Since she was 40, no one's going to marry them because they can't have children. Elama, they were soymich on their tzidkus, they were soymich that like they return like Yocheved. So therefore, men would marry her because obviously they look young again. So very geschmack the Torah Chaim to explain that Inyan. Explain Inyan. Now, a big question is who we talking about over here? We're talking about Bas Levi and Ish mi Beis Levi. We're speaking about Amram and Yocheved, correct? I mean, it's Yedua that Miriam told him that you're worse than Paro. Paro was geyser on the males and the females. By you not living together, you're guaranteed not to have any children. So he came back and they lived together again. So why doesn't it say their names? Why does it say Ish mi Beis Levi or Bas? It doesn't say their names. It doesn't give them any cover. These are the Gedolei Adar. So the Emisli Yaakov, Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky answers beautifully. Rabbi Yaakov was very bothered. A lot of his shtickl Torah was to go against the concept of Christianity. You might remember we said, why does it say that the sister of Shimshon was Nashia? Right? We said, why did we say that? Because you should know that just like that Hatsalaponi had a female baby, also Shimshon wasn't born from a malach. Remember, that's when we spoke that out. That was Rav Yaakov's chiddush. Yaakov's chiddush over here is the same thing. The leaders of people involved in other religions, they believe in miraculous conceptions, correct? So you might think that the leader of Klal Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu, Kaviyachol, would come about in such a miraculous way. The Torah is speaking out. No. The Torah is saying it was an ish, it was a bas, right? And what did they do? They came together and they brought the greatest person in the history of Klal Yisrael. But it didn't come from the tzidkis of Amram. It didn't come from the tzidkis of Yocheved. It's stressing. It came from a bus of a dom, and not some kind of miraculous way. So again, I think I find Rav Yaakov very interesting that he had that kivun of trying to go ahead and be moitzi miyad the world, the Christianity, this concept of a immaculate conception Okay, sister Gemara Vaita. I'm Rabbi Yehuda bar Zvida. Okay, we did it. It says Vayikach Vayachsam. It says Vayikach, and he took Vayachsam Iboyle. Vayikach Bas Levi. It's not he took Vayachsi. He returned to her. Again, they had been divorced. It's not the first time they married. So Rabbi Yehuda says Rabbi Yehuda bar Zvida Malamit Sha'aseh Allah Ma'aseh Lekuchen. They made a wedding. Cheshiva period. They put her on a period type of seat. The Aaron and Miriam, Mishayrim lefaneha. Aaron and Miriam were singing in front of them. Malchi Asharis Aimrim Emaban Smecha. Right, because again you have all these. This union is going to bring about the Mashiach of Yisrael. So this is a time of tremendous simcha. So Vayikach is a new lekuchen, a new lashon of kicha, a lashon of kiddushin. Now we're told that there are. We get a list of the Mnois Tzlavchad. However, the list is not the same. One place we're given the list the following: Machla, Noya, Chagla, Milka, and Tirza. And the other place it's Machla, Tirza, Chagla, Milka, and Noah. So Lahalon Manan Akosov, Derech Gedulasan. Later on, when it comes to Nachla, we're going to go ahead and when they're married, we go according to Machla, Tirza, Chagla, Milka, and Noah. Right? Uvekan by the Nachla, Derech Hakosov, Derech Gedulasan, Vekan, Derech Chachmasan. And over here by Nachla, we went ahead and we're speaking about the way of the Chachma. So the one place they're listed according to their age regarding the Suin, but Nachla, when it came to speaking up to Moshe Rabbeinu, we went according to Chachma, and therefore it's listed in a different order. Messiah Ravami, Dam Ravami, be yeshiva when it comes to yeshiva, when it comes to learning and halacha and din halacha chachma, you give the covet to the chachma. The nesiba when it comes to nesuin, when it comes to a mishta, when it comes to a party, then halacha zikna, provided on Ravashi, who the maflik b'chachma, this person is outstanding in their chachma, who the maflik b'zikna, even though what they have chachma, but they're quite older. Tana Rabbi Shmuel, b'noi slavcha shkula, saying he's not buying to Rav Ami's pshat. He's saying the shkulas they were all equal. Shnemar v'tiyena havaya. They're all is havaya achas the kulan, right? So l'chayra, why were they given different orders? I mean, according to this, if they were shekulos, so why are they listed what in different orders over here? So therefore, I guess since they're equal, sometimes this way, sometimes that way. In other words, by changing the order, you're showing that lav dafka was anyone better than the other one. By giving the order differently, we're showing that what that they were different. Amrav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, B'nai Slavchad chutzuli nasei l'chalash shvatim. B'nai Slavchad could marry anyone they wanted to. Now, here's what the pasuk says, guys. You probably have words on the side of your Gemara, right? If you have an art called Gemara, you should have it. I know Rabbi has it. Says Zeh hadava. It's in Bamid Balamid Vav Vav. Zeh hadava shetziva Hashem leb'nai Slavchad leimar latoiv be'eineihem. What's good in your eyes, tiyena l'nashim. You should be as wives, whoever you decide. Mashma even from another shevet. Ach l'mishpachas mate avihem tiyena l'nashim. However, to mishpacha of your father's shevet, you should be wives. So it's contradictory. On one hand, you're telling me whoever you decide you should marry, and the other one's saying no, you have to marry again in Menashe. Guys, remember, if they marry outside Menashe, you're going to get Havaris. The Nachla is going to go passed out, right? The Nachla is getting passed out. So it's conflicting in the pasuk. The pasuk seems to say whoever you decide, and then it says, oh no, but matla avoisam. So the Gemara is going to deal with that. Says the Gemara. So shenemar, how do you know you can get married to anybody you want? It says l'tov beineihem tiyena l'noshim. Fred the Gemara elamani mekayim ach l'mishpachas matei avihem tiyena l'noshim. Mashma what? Only two. Your shevet. It says Gemara Eitz Taiva. You see on Hakasa the Torah is given an Eitz Taiva. Shleinasi yela lo hagen lehem. You should marry someone who we want is proper for you, right? Someone's proper for you, meaning that it should be from your shevet that it shouldn't pass over. Moisev Rabbi asked the following question. It says in Parshas Emor, Emor aleim l'doresechem, kolisha sheyikrach mikol zarachem el hakochim. Okay, so it says Emor aleim lo'oisen oimdim al har Sinai, and then it says l'doresechem, elu dores habayim, future generations. So you're telling me one the people by Sinai, and then you say l'doresechem. Says the Gemara, im nema avos. If it says the mitzvah to the avos, lo menema bonim. The nema bonim lo menema avos. Right? Mifnei sheyesh ba'avos mashein be'bonim. There's a mitzvah that's only by the avos, that would not be by the children, as we're going to see. It's the mitzvah of what of hasavas nachla. Fellas, the only time they were mitzvah not to marry out of the shevet was the avos. It did not exist future generations. Future generations, they were able to marry out. So this is a mitzvah that existed only by the av and not by the child. V'yesh bebonim mashein ba'avos. And this mitzvah bebonim that's not by avos, right? Rav Shpam says mitzvah tluya ba'aretz truma ma'isa chala oler revoi leket shichu peya fein harbe. All these mitzvahs when the avos never made it into Eretz Yisrael, these were always given to the children. Okay, now. Ba'avos hu oimer The Cholbasia Resh. Now we're going over. I previewed this for you. But always the mitzvah of the Abusu Aimer, the Cholbasia Resh is Nachla, right? And all Bas should inherit a Nachla and not marry out. The Harba mitzvahs nitztava b'bonim shlein savu avos, right? Why? Mitzvahs li b'aretz. Hamifnei sheyesh b'avos shein b'bonim v'yesh b'bonim ma shein b'avos. Chutzachleima, therefore it's necessary avos and chutzachleima b'bonim. Since you see that what this mitzvahs that were only given to fathers, some it's only mothers, so therefore it was necessary to say that what that is given to both. Given to both. That's why it says by in Pashas Emor l'dorei seichem, and it says what. Emar lehem to the ones who were by Har Sinai. Ketani mias. What's the kasha? But avois who oimer b'chol bas yereshes nachla. So you see, it's not an eitzah toiva. You're telling me that it's an eitzah toiva that benos slavchot should marry within the shevet. You just told me a brisa that there was a mitzvah that was given uniquely to that door and not noig for future generations, which is marrying within the shevet. So how can you tell me to marry by Benas Slavchad? How can you tell me by Benas Slavchad that there's a din of it's a toiva to not marry out? L'chayra, it's a mitzvah not to marry out. It's also to marry out for that generation. That's the kasha. That the Gemara answers, who moisiv la? He asked the kasha. He asked the kasha. For whom mefarik la? And he answered the kasha. And he answered the kasha. Levar minay slavchad. Snay slavchad are different. Snay slavchad mashpam. Levar minay slavchad. The high v'chol basi reshes nachla. Lava minay slavchad koi. It's not going on minay slavchad. The goli lukra l'toy b'neihem tiyenu l'noshim. Since the pasuk said for the best ones, you decide who you want to marry. So obviously this din of l'basi reshes nachla has to marry within the shevet is not told from Slavchad. So it's a gezeres akosiv, guys. The gezeres akosiv that you shouldn't, that Bnei Slavchad could marry l'toiv shebenayim. It's a toiva keeping in the family, but the rest of Klal Yisrael was not able to marry out. Okay, the rest of Klal Yisrael was not able to marry out. The Gemara continues now going over the brisa. It says, "Oimer the chalbasia reshes nachla v'avos in the banim loy." How do you know that's only by that generation, but future generations could marry out? My mashma, Amarava says Rava, Amakra, Zehadava. Again, what does the pasuk say? It's in Bamidbalam Vavav, Zehadava Shetziva Hashem Libnei Slavchad, Zehadava, Dava Zelo Yenoyeg Ele B'dar Zeh. Zehadava is only now, but that generation, not future generation. Now the Gemara is going to have a problem. Of course, we're going to bring in two other places where it says Zehadavar, and both are noig for every generation. The two places are Hafaras Nedarim and Shchutei Chutz. That you're not allowed to Chayiv Koris if you shecht outside, not just the Kohen, but every person. And Hafaras Nedarim, that you could take off a neder. And it says Zehadavar. And so you can tell me Zehadavar, those two halachas Shchutei Chutz and Hafaras Nedarim are only noig that generation, similar to Bnei Slavchad. That's fair to say. Okay, so that's going to be the crux of the rest of the daf. Amalei Rabbi Zuti said Rabbi the small Rabbi the Ravashi El Meyata Zehadav the Shchutei Chutz Hachanami Lei Noyeg Ele B'dar Zeh. You're going to tell me it's only Noyeg because it says by Shchutei Chutz it says what Lo Yisbchu Oid Esevchayim Asirim Ashehem Zoin Machreim Chukas Olam Tiyenu Zois Lahem L'Day Roisam. This should be what it says. Zehadav Ashetziva Hashem Leimar. That Zehadav of Din Shchutei Chutz. You're telling me that's only going to be for that generation? It says over there. It says that it adds the word l'dayraisam. So good, it says zehadavar, but it adds l'dayraisam for future generations as well. On its base, zehadavar again using the model of zehadavar by Bnei Slavchad that it was only that generation. What about the pasuk in the beginning of Matos? What does it say? And Moshe spoke to Rosh Hamatos the Bnei Yisrael Lema Ze'adava Shetziva Hashem. This is the thing that Hashem has commanded. Rosh Hamatos, the din of Hafaras Nedarim. So again, You're telling me by B'nai Slavchat Zehadava, only that generation, it says by Shchutei Chutz, L'day Raisam. Hafaras Nedarim, it says Zehadava, only that generation, it's fair to say that. Amaleya, Hu Yolef Leizeh Zemi Hasam. We learn out of Gezer Shava from Shchutei Chutz to Nedarim. Just like Shchutei Chutz, where it says L'day Raisam, and it says Zehadavar, L'day Raisam is forever, so too the Zehadava by Nedarim is also forever. Now the obvious question is, let's say the Zehadava by what? By Slavchad also should be similar to Shchutei Chutz, it should be forever. Says the Gemara, Hanami by Nachla of Bnei Slavchad, Leilev Zeh Zeh Mechasam. Let's learn that from Shchutei Chutz. Just like Shchutei Chutz, it says Zehadavar, and it says by Raisam. So too Bnei Slavchad Zehadava, just like you just learned by Afaras Nedarim. It says on Haimai. Okay, guys, outside. We're going to see the following. We're going to see that there's a Gezer Shava between Shchutei Chutz and Nedarim. Once we have that existing Gezer Shava, we'll learn out a second din. That why it's L'day Raisam. Masha'en came, if you're telling me that you need a limud, so don't say Zehadavar at all, and you would know it's for all generations. In other words, why should you say Zehadavar, only mashma Zeh, only then, that you need a Gezer Shava to teach me it's forever? Don't say Zehadavar, and Memela, I would know it's forever, because I don't have a miyat. Ella must be, since I said Zehadavar, it's to me mayat that, but only that generation couldn't intermarry, but future generations could. You guys got it? In other words, I have a Gezer Shava for Shchutei Chutz and Nedarim. And since I have that existing Gezer Shava, I learn on the second din. Masha'enkin, what are you telling me? It says Zehadava by Shchutei Chutz. It says Zehadava by what? By Nachla, by Bnei Slavchad. And there's nothing else to learn out. That's what I'm going to learn out. Zehadava L'day Raisam, Zehadava L'day Raisam. Don't say Zehadava over here. And I know it's L'day Raisam. I don't have to say Zehadava for anything else. Bishleim by Nedarim, I have to say for something else. I'll learn at the second din. But by Slavchad, there's no other reason to learn it out. So if the only reason to say it is to learn out that it's forever, don't say it at all, and I know it's forever. Says the Gemara. Okay, let's see it inside. 3 lines down. So Hainami Leilev Zeh Zeh Mechasam. Let's learn out let's learn out by Slavchad, but Nachla from Shchutei Chutz. Haimai Bishleim Mechasam over there by Nedarim Shchutei Chutz. It's Rich Gezer Shava. I need a Gezer Shava for something else. But Hacha by Nachla, Lamai Yitzrich, I don't need it for anything else. Lishte Kromine, don't say Zehadava. If I know Yedan, and I would know Lilidai Roy says, I would know it's for future generations. My Gezer Shava, what's the Gezer Shava? The Tanya. Nema Kan Zehadava, it says by Nedarim Zehadava, the Nema Lahalan Zehadava, and it says by Shchutei Chutz Zehadava. Now, there's two guys, you have Psukim, Hesh, you have Psukim there? Hesh and Yogamar, you have Psukim? Okay, great. So let's look at the Psukim on the side. So first, let's look at Nedarim. Vayidaber Moshe el Roshei Matos of Yisrael Lema Zehadava. So we have the Roshei Matos, the heads of the Shvatim are being commanded in the Darim. So that's one aspect over by Nedarim. Next pasuk. Daber el Aaron vel Banav vel Kol Bnei Yisrael v'mataleim Zehadava shetziva. This is Shchutei Chutz. And it mentions Aaron Ubana Bnei Yisrael. So we're going to go ahead and take those two factors, fellas. We're going to take, guys, look at me. We're going to take this Nedarim Roshei Matos and apply it to Shchutei Chutz, and we're going to take the Aaron Ubana of Bnei Yisrael and apply it to Nedarim. We're going to take those two things. Let's see it inside. Nema kan Zehadav and Nema lahalan Zehadav and lahalan Aaron Ubana b'Chol Yisrael. Just like Shchutei Chutz, it was Aaron Ubana b'Chol Yisrael. Afkan by Nedarim, Aaron Uban v'Chol Yisrael. We're going to see what halacha that is. Umakan, just like by Nedarim, Roshei Matos, Aflahalan by Shchutei Chutz, Roshei Matos. Amamar, Malahalan Aaron Uban v'Chol Yisrael. Afkan Aaron Uban v'Chol Yisrael. L'may hilchasa. What halacha are you going to apply from Shchutei Chutz, Aaron Uban to Nedarim? Amar Ravacha by Yaakov Leimar, Shafaras Nedarim b'Shlosh Hedyotis. That a forest Nedarim could be done by 3 Hedyotis. Guys, it says Roshei Matos. You might think it's only what? It's only really highfalutin. Why does it say by Shchutei Chutz? Aaron, Bonov, and what's the key? And Kol Yisrael. So just like by Shchutei Chutz, it's Kol Yisrael. So too by Afaras Nedarim, it could be Kol Yisrael. It could be any hedyot. It could be any hedyot. So that's what I'm going to learn out loud from Afaras Nedarim. Well, Roshei Matos ksiv. For the Gemara, it says Roshei Matos. It says Gemara Kedam Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda is going to say pretty soon. Rabbi Yochanan b'Yochid B'Mcha, that it's the Rashi matters that it's either 3 adyotis or a yachid mumcha. Hachanami be yachid mumcha. Here also it's going to be what? A yachid mumcha, it's going to be an expert. Umakan Rashi matos, just like by the Dorim it says Rashi matos, aflahalan shchutei chutz Rashi matos. Lemay hilcha, so what halacha? Amrav sheishes lemar, sheyesh shela behegdish. There's a din of shela behegdish. Now, let's see a Rashbam over here, guys. Where the lines get wide, 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down. Sheyesh shela behegdish. Kimo sheyesh shela bendarim. Just like you can take off a neder, the midarim ksiv lo yachal devaroi. Do not go ahead and profane your word. V'uadin lecholek deishos. Shim shochat kotshim bachutz. If you shech kotshim bachutz, v'nis chayiv karis, and you're going to be chayiv karis as a result. V'yachkach holach etzel chacham lahataloi hegdeishoi, and you go to a chacham to take off the hegdish umatzloi pesach shel charata, and he finds what opening to go ahead and show that you're macharit on your neder for okes a hegdish mei karoi. What happens retroactively? He goes ahead and he's oiker your what? He's oiker your hegdish. In other words, nimsa, you never shechted a korban v'chutz. You hear the connection, guys. Rashi matos is a mumcha. You're gonna what are you teaching me? That it's possible to be shoyel behegdish. So if you would go ahead and shech b'chutz, you'd be chayiv chorus as a result. What happens if you could take off the hegdish? Then there was not shchutei chutz. Continues the Rashbam. V'avavda kehegdish toyis. You'll make it like a hegdish. That's a mistake. Igloi milsel mafreya. Do I have a hegdish? Me'olam. It never was hegdish. Upatnami chorus, and now you'll be part from chorus. V'uadin l'chol dava hegdish. And not only shchutei chutz, any hegdish. But might say swasav going trumas or maisvis. The boy mitchell you can go ahead and take off the shem truma, shem maisvis. The chayz and the tivlan, they go back to being tevel. Kidamina bin adorim b'shali perikanoida min hayerek. So very geschmack. So we learn out from the din of the din of shchutei chutz to nedarim that it can be hedyoitosh, just like it says Aaron ubana v'chol b'nei Yisrael. And we learn out from nedarim to shchutei chutz, where it says that by nedarim it says Rashi matos or mumcha, that a chacham could go ahead and be shoyel behegdish, take off your hegdish and just save your bacon. Excuse the pun. Save your bacon if you're chayiv karis by making it ois hegdish. By making it ois hegdish. Beautiful Rashbam. Okay, that's according to people who says you could be shoyel behegdish. Well, Beis Shammai Damri ain't shoyel behegdish, and look Beis Shammai who says that what? There's no din of shoyel behegdish. It's not Beis Shammai Yomrim. Hegdish b'tois hegdish. He holds hegdish b'tois is hegdish. So even though you made a mistake and you put seif b'charata, you can't take it off anyway. So what's the halacha that you're going to learn from the Dorim till what? Till, right? What does he do with the Gzeir Shava? What does Beis Shammai do with the Gzeir Shava? But not malika b'chutz. We know that the oilus oif and the chatas oif were not geshachten, but the kohen would take his nail and go through, pierce the back, and sever the simonim, right? If you would do that b'chutz, you won't be chayiv kares. That's what he uses zeh for. That's what he uses only dafka shchita chutz and not malika b'chutz. V'zeh adav the Rashi matas miboyle l'chacham mater vein bal mater. Now we know that the chacham is mater. He used the lashon of hatara, of hafara, and the chachamim use the lashon of hatara. Rashbam speaks out that hafara is mashma that day that you heard it, you can take it off, but it doesn't work retroactively. The lashon of hatara works retroactively. So if a chacham would say the lashon of hafara, or the Baal would say the lashon of hatara, pashtus wouldn't go ahead and help. This is a brand in the Dorim, but the Yushalmi, Ayin Zion, look at there if you're interested. So as I say, Baal Mefer, Baal can use the lashon of hafara, vein chacham Mefer. For the Gemara. Now, Beis Shammai uses the Gzeir Shava for this din of Malika. Where does Beis Shammai know? Where does Beis Shammai know the din of Shlosh Hedyotis? Where does he know the din of Shlosh Hedyotis from? Right? Well, Beis Shammai the less do Gzeir Shava Hafaras Nedarim b'Shlosh Hedyotis Minalahu. Where does he know Hafaras Nedarim is not like they Mumcha? After all, it says Rashi Amatos, and he's learning Gzeir Shava for something else. So where does he know? So now, Nafkalei Tanya. It says Vayidaber Moshe es Moedei Hashem El Bnei Yisrael. It says Vayidaber Moshe es Moedei Hashem El Bnei Yisrael. That's what it says. Okay. Now, Rabbi Yosef Yomer, listen to this cryptic words. Moedei Hashem Nemru, Shabbos Bereishis Lo Nemra. It says Moedei Hashem, but it doesn't say Shabbos Bereishis, meaning Shabbos Bereishis means our Shabbos. Benazai Yomer, Moedei Hashem Nemru, it says Moedei Hashem, Hafaras Nedarim Lo Nemru. Doesn't say Hafaras Nedarim. Whatever that, again, the Gemara is going to explain. Rabbi Yosef ben Nasan Gomel La Masnisa. He learned this price. Rabbi Yosef ben Nasan Leprusha, and he was the same as us. He didn't have any explanation. Azal Basra Rav Sheshus Nardoi. He followed to Nardoi. He ran after Rav Sheshus. And he didn't find Rav Sheshus in Nardoi. Azal Basra LeMechuza. He ran after Rav Sheshus to Mechuza, and Ashkei, and he found him in Mechuza. And he asked them, "What's Pshat? Moedei Hashem, but not Shabbos Bereishis. Moedei Hashem, and not a first Nedarim. Amalei, my Moedei Hashem Nemru Shabbos Bereishis Lo Nemra. Amalei, Moedei Hashem Tzrichim Kiddush Bezdin Shabbos Bereishis Ein Tzrichim Kiddush." We know that there's months. There's a 29 month and a 30 month. So you need Bezdin to decide which is which. Shabbos Bereishis, guys, we just start at the beginning of time. It's not contingent upon what? On Bezdin at all. So therefore, that's what it says. Moedei Hashem, regarding the Moedim, right? Nemru, that you need a Bezdin. Mashenki, when it comes to what? When it comes to Shabbos Bereishis, you don't need a Bezdin. It's no Kiddush, it's automatic. And it's Tzrich Kiddush, Bezdin. So now, Sakal, I mean, Moedim should Tzrich Kiddush, Bezdin, Tzrich Bezdin, Shabbos Bereishis, and Tzrich Kiddush, Bezdin. Sak, why would you think you do? Sak, like Aminan, Hoyel Ksivi Gabe Moedois, since in the Parsha of Emor and the Parsha of Mayadim, Shabbos is listed. Tiboy Kiddush Bezdin K'Moedos. I would think you need Kiddush Bezdin like the Moedos. K'mash Malon, my Moedei Hashem, K'mash Malon. Now, what about we don't right? So far, this hasn't helped us. Remember, what's our question? Loy Pe Shammai, how do you know 3 Hedyotis? So what did Ben Azai say? Moedei Hashem, right? Moedei Hashem, Nemru, Haforas Nedarim Lo Nemru. So what's Pshat? My Moedei Hashem Nemru, Haforas Nedarim Lo Nemru. Moedei Hashem Tzrichim Mumchin. To go ahead and be Makadosh Levana, then you need Mumchin. Hafaras Nedarim, ain't it Tzricha Mumchin. Hafaras Nedarim, you don't need Mumchin. That will be enough what? Shlosh Hedyotis. That would be enough Shlosh Hedyotis.